in the afternoon. Okay, in between some small topical discussion. We are on the track for the evolutionary. So I'm starting with the high availability concept. Okay, that is what the core of the app. If you are not aware about the availability concept, forget about the app. Right? So what we discussed the previous day, they are the architecture and installation configuration and the major administration. So this is what the high availability concept. Rack is for high availability, for load balancing purpose. Correct? So if you have a 2-3 node running, we can't say that the rack, if application not is getting corrupted, application not able to get the data, that type of situation should not be there. So we need to go for what? High availability, load balancing, scalability, and all the things we need to talk about. So we start with the service. Very important thing, service. Then after we are going to talk about a tab, so many concepts. So I will just simply illustrate what are the things which are going to talk today. The first thing I am going to start with the service. Very important concept of service. Okay. So in the services, we are going to talk about the tab, transparent application failover, fan, fast application notification, LPA, load balancing advisory, okay, FCF, fast connection failover. All these are very important things. Also, we are going to talk about a call out. How to work with the call out script, working with the call out script. Fine. Service itself is a very big chapter actually. Okay, along with all these things. And again, we are going to talk about something like the server-side load balancing. We already discussed about the client-side load balancing. Okay, so when I am saying that server-side load balancing means it is server-side connected time load balancing, not a runtime. That's the difference. Runtime load balancing, connected time load balancing. That's the difference. So this is server-side connected time load balancing. And you already came to know client side connecting load balancing. Okay, so load balancing. And we discussed about the client side connecting failover. That is we discussed. Fine. Now there is something called the runtime failover. Okay, the runtime. All this concept we will look here. Right. So this is what is important topic we have to complete today. Right. So we'll start with the service. Before going for service, yesterday when you are going for a DPCA, database configuration, you have seen policy manager and admin manager. This is one option of the policy manager and admin manager. So whenever you are placing a resource, just take an example. I am working on a 5-node tracker. Okay, so node 1, node 2, node 3. 4 and 5 node are ready. So we are creating a database, cluster database. Database is the resource, isn't it? Database is the resource and ASM is the resource, everything is the resource. So we are creating my database instance. It will ask you remember in the DBC it is asking 2 options. One is admin manager, isn't it? Administrative manager, okay, admin manager. Or administrator manager. Okay, second one is policy manager configuration. Policy manager. There are 2 types of resource placement and configuration. What do you mean by that? Whenever you are placing the resource in a rack environment, it will ask you 2 options. You want to place the resource based on the admin manager configuration, or you want to place the resource on the basis of policy manager configuration. Only 2 options we have. Okay. Admin manager means traditionally we are using admin manager. Okay, according to admin manager, you remember when you are installing the database, it is asking you want to install post 1, post 2, post 3, post 4, post 5. Correct? To list you all the nodes. Correct? List you all the node in the thing. So what I ask you to select out of the 3 node, I ask you to select only 2 nodes. Correct? You selected node 1 and node 2. So what do you mean by that? The database instance will be started across only 2 nodes. Which are the nodes? Node 1 and node 2. So even though you are working with a 5-node cluster, your CRC, your CRC, HASC, ASM, everything is running across all the 5 nodes. Correct? But I am placing my resource, I am placing my database only where? Only in node number 1 and node number 2. So ORCL database is running in node number 1, node number 2, that's the database running node number 2, node number 3, you can place accordingly. Correct? So in this case, where to place the resources, okay, specified by whom? By the DB, by the database administrator. Same thing in Oracle 10G, Oracle 11G release 1, Oracle and everyone has a DBA we have to specify. Same configuration here. Okay, admin manager. The admin manager configuration is for previous releases for backward compatibility. But we can use in Oracle 11G release 2. But only the thing is, but as a database administrator we have to specify virtual place resource. If you have a 10 nodes or 60 nodes are available, out of the 60 nodes you have to individually select a virtual place resource. Correct? It is our job. So that is what is the admin manager option. So yesterday which option we selected? Admin manager. That's the reason it is mandatory that you have to specify the node name from the list. And the interesting in admin manager is for backward compatibility. Even though I am saying that backward compatibility, you can use in Oracle 11G as well. Correct? Okay. Now policy manager. Why we are using the policy manager? Policy manager is a new feature in Oracle 11G. So in Oracle 11G there are two types of resource management policy. One is admin manager, other is policy manager. Admin is for backward compatibility, but you can use in Oracle 11G. Policy manager is new. It is possible only in Oracle 11G release 2 onwards. Previously it is not possible. Okay, so whenever you want to configure the policy manager configuration, as a database administrator, you don't have to mention workplace resource. Workplace resource will be taken care by the policy. It will be automatically taken care by the policy. Means the cluster will decide workplace resource. So for that purpose, we need to create a server pool. So it is very important thing, server pool. So policy manager configuration always depends on server pool. Right? Take an example now. I have 5 node access. Node 1. Node 2, 3, 4 and a node 5. I decided to go for policy manager configuration. Since you want to go for a policy manager configuration, it is mandatory to create a server pool. You can create a server pool using the command crctl or srctl. Crctl add a server pool, srctl add a server pool. Using the command you can create a server pool. What is a server pool? Server pool means the group of servers. So what I am going to do is specific like this. crctl add server pool and the server name node 1, node 2, node 3. So what I have selected? I selected 3 nodes which is the server pool. So what I am going to do is I am creating a server pool. It's a logical grouping of what server. So SP1, server pool 1. Okay, srctl add server pool name. Then you have to specify the list of node, which node you want to make it inside. Correct? So how many nodes I selected? Node 1, node 2, node 2, and node 3 I selected. So what happened now? In the cluster 01 cluster, there is a server pool called SP1. So SP1 is a group of servers, nothing but a server pool. Correct? Okay, because server pool is mandatory for what? Policy management. Okay. Next time when I am installing the database, I am invoking the DDCL from the node number 1. When I am invoking the DDCL from the node number 1, it is asking you whether you want to place the resource on the list of admin manager or policy manager. If you are clicking on the admin manager, it will ask you what? Out of the 5 nodes, which are the nodes? You can select any one of the nodes or all the nodes. Correct? Okay. Now once you select the policy manager, what will happen? It will not ask you the list of the node. What will ask you? It will ask you only one option, name of the server pool. Which is the name of the server pool? So what happened? I specified a server pool 1, SP1. I specified a SP1. So since I selected SP1, the cardinality by default will be 3. What do you mean by cardinality? How many node? Where you want to place it? Correct. So the cardinality by default 3. So SP1 you selected. That's all. Then you place the installation. So what will be running? We are running in node 1, node 2, node 3.
But before that you have to add server.
We have to create a server. Correct. Okay, so within a cluster, we can create a logical grouping as a server pool. Okay, and we can create it. And for the creation of the database and all, this configuration is not that much useful, correct? Because anyway, it's a one-time job creating a database. Even though there are 100 nodes are available, for me it's not a big issue to select 100 nodes, correct? So that is not a big issue for me. But at least you can make a concept. But the real thing is, database is not only the resources. Once you create a database, we are going to create a service. Correct? So service is very important thing. Service is the core of the real application cluster. Without service, there is no high availability. So if you want to go for a high availability, you need to create what? We need to create a service. Just take an example. I want to create a service called ERP. Okay, I will explain what the service is not. I want to place a service called ERP. So Oracle database is running across all the nodes. I want to run ERP here and ERP here, only in each node, node 1 and node 2. Just an example. Correct. So in this case, we will be creating a number of services Correct. By that time, if you want to specify node 1, node 2, node 3, node 4 each and every time, it's very difficult after. So what I can do, I can create a server pool. For example, now the server pool is running only 2 nodes. Correct. Then the ERP will be running across how many nodes? 2 nodes. Later I will say this 2 nodes is not enough. What I can do? You don't need to remove the service or modify the service. You simply add a node in the server pool. When you are adding third node and fourth node in the server pool, what happens? Service will be span across node 3 and node 4. Depends on the configuration. That I will explain how it will work. So you understood the idea behind it. So if you want to, restrict the resources, if you want to configure the resources according to the policy, you are not saying that where to run the resources. The resource will be running according to what? According to the policy. Correct? The policy will determine. But server pool concept is very important thing. But you can easily understand this concept when you are talking about the service. Okay, now just see that just a simple definition. Okay, so there are two options: admin manager option and a policy manager option. Admin manager means traditional way. We have to specify the list of node work to fetch the resources. When you are going for a policy manager, you don't need to specify the list of the node. You have to specify only what? Server pool. Correct? So in this server pool, work to place the resource. If you have a 10 nodes are available in one server pool, work to place the service. ERP service I want to place in first node, second node, third node, that will be completely determined by whom? Determined by the policy. Correct? You don't need to mention. You simply specify what? You simply specify the because just take an example. When I am creating a server pool, so if service for ERP, not a database, service for ERP, if the server pool is having 3 nodes, fine, I am going to specify create a service and run the service in 3 nodes. Cardinality I am giving 1. What do you mean by that?
Number of nodes.
SP1 server pool containing how many nodes? 3 nodes. What is the cardinality? 3. Yeah, 3. But I am giving the cardinality 1. The service cardinality I am giving 1. What do you mean by cardinality 1? The service has to run in 1 node out of the 3. But do you mention 1, 2, 3? No. You simply mention what? SP1. Okay. Now, out of these 3, work to run the service, you will only mention. Who will decide? Oracle will decide. No, we don't need to mention. Oracle will decide. Because the policy manager, Oracle will decide. And where to place node 1, node 2, node 3 depends on what? Depends on the load, workload, LPA, load balancing algorithm. Which is the least loaded node? Where is the place?
Least node means what?
Load is less, workload is less. Workload is less. Just for the discussion, this is 90% exhausted, this is also 80% exhausted, and this is absolutely free. Correct. If you are going for an admin managed service configuration, just take an example. This is 90% exhausted, and this is 80%, this is 10%. Which is the best node? Third node. Okay, so third node. So I have only 3 nodes, just an example. I am going for an admin managed service configuration. What should I do? Out of the 3 nodes, I have to specify. As a DBA, I have to specify out of the 3 nodes work to place the service. I want to run the service in only 1 node. I know that. But as a DBA, I have to specify manually. Either node 1, node 2, node 3. Because why? It is an admin manager. So I am selecting node 1. So you are selecting a wrong node. Because I am not aware about how the workload is going on, isn't it? So I am selecting blindly node number 1. So you are placing the service in the wrong node. Why? Because this page is already highly exhausted. Correct. But in this case, if you are creating a server pool called SP1 by using all the 3 nodes, then I am taking the survey. If you are giving the cardinality 1, what will happen? You are not specifying out of the 3 nodes where to place the resource. The resource will be starting only in the 1 node, but where it is, which is the least, lower node is the server. So they will make use of, policy manager configuration always makes use of workload, LDA, load balancing algorithm.
In case of active let's say, I was taking, in case of active there is 2 water we have to make up. Every time we see the load.
No, it's not whenever there is a load we are loading. That's not relocating. You can do like that, but everything has to be manually. Placement policy I'm talking about. It's not like that,
Yes, you have said it will also be possible with S3. That could also be overloaded. I placed in this one, but that was overloaded.
Which is overloaded.
After
placing the resources, it may be overloaded. Then it's not a resource state. Resource will be running in third node. Whenever they are placing the resource, these are the placement policy. Correct? It's not like that we are keeping here now 10% and after this we go 100% then service will be moving to some other node. Nothing like that. It's not like that. This is a resource placement policy. So when you are placing a resource, one option as a you have to say manually work to place the resource. Second thing is let Oracle to take a decision work to place the resource. Correct?
That is admin policy.
This is what a manually you have to specify. This is what automatically you have taken.
So, but if I'm specifying manually, I select any node, I can select only one.
You can that you can either select one node or many node, depends on the configuration. That is service level configuration. Leave it. I'm talking about when you're placing a resource, the resource can be placed in one node or many nodes. Perfectly alright? So even if it's a single node or many node, admin manager configuration, you have to specify which node has to process resource. Correct? When the number of nodes are increasing, whenever you want to run the service across so many nodes are node, once you create it with a 2 node, so service is node by node so now I want to run the service across 10 node, what you have to do? You have to edit the service. Correct? The service has to get edited, modify service, then you have to add it. So you are making the changes in the resource configuration. But if you are working the policy, even now you are running the service in 2 nodes, it's within the server code. Later if you think if you want to run in 10 node, why don't you add more node in the server code, then automatically service will stand across. So administration is very easy when you're talking about what? When you're talking about a policy. Correct. So it is very, very important. So by default, when I created a database, our database is admin manager or policy manager? Admin manager. Because we selected explicitly word program data. So once you created an admin manager policy, it can support backward compatibility. But during the time of database configuration, if you select policy manager, it cannot support the backward compatibility. So we have to think about it. Really, we want to go for policy manager because once you convert it into policy manager, you can't come back. That's all. Finish. You cannot, revert it.
From admin manager, can you switch to server?
From admin manager, you can switch to the policy manager. But from the policy manager, you cannot come to go back to admin manager. Okay, so whenever you are switching, you need to identify a really need to switch off. So that is very, very important for us. That's the reason nowadays you can see all the people, all the organizations, they are working with admin manager only. Because they know the risk actually. Correct? Because they have to support a different type of client. So they will always go for admin manager. But Oracle come up with a feature called policy manager. But the Oracle 11 people are not started using policy manager. But I can say that the policy manager is a one step forward for the next release. Correct? Because 12C will be coming with a full these layers like a policy layer. So many things are servers are classified into different groups. For that purpose, just one step, they configure the policy, they want to test it. That's the reason policy manager. But the option is available for you. But remember this point: policy manager and admin manager. You understand the concept? So when you are placing a resource, where to place the resource?
Here, what do you mean by placing resources?
When you are creating a service, when you are creating a database.
All the place and
when you are creating any resource, whenever you are placing, where to place.
Here, I mean, this would be
admin policy
This is what
जीवन दिखाया
this is not applicable for the listener is a long-term resource. Listener is a long-term resource. Because listener one always is running node number 1 only. Listener one I cannot place in node number 2. These things are applicable for these type of plotting resources are available. So you can work with the resource in some certain group of machines. Correct. My ERP service should be always available across only 3 nodes. So what I can do, these 3 nodes I can put into one server pool. Correct. So it will be available always in that particular tree. So resource management is very easy. But anyway, I am not talking about much very good features so far. But yes, if you wish to configure, yes, we can configure the policy management.
something like creating a customer groups in this one.
Yes, customer groups, consumer groups, something like that. And we can give some certain priority and all things in the policy.
Yeah, CPO and all the rest.
And then those but here we are not controlling the source, only the grouping of the variables. Because this is a very big topic actually, because Oracle last open forum in Oracle, Moreover is a author of many books he written. He's an author. He given presentation regarding this policy management. It's a very lengthy. In the coming version, they are giving high priority position. They are coming with the rack like a storage stack, underlying storage stack. Above that there is a rack. Within the rack itself, they have the application pool. So many pools. So ERP pool, separately ERP application coming to that particular pool. Okay, your payroll team coming to the payroll pool. They want to classify each and everything and on the top of the application. Correct. So this is the layer coming into the for that purpose, they are coming with the police. So far, it's not a much important word when we are talking about resource management. But we need to remove it. Because when you're creating a database, when you're creating a service, this option is always there. Okay, whether you want to create a policy manager or a admin manager, correct? This option is not on. You need to remove it. Right. Now I will explain about the service. So very important concept of service. What do you mean service? Service.
Providing
something can offer. Service means something offer. You will offer something, isn't it? Okay. But you know that whenever you are creating a database, what will happen? If you create a service, what is that service? Database. So we are always using the term called as service name, database name, SID. Correct. Take an example. I am creating a database 3 node reactor. Node 1, node 2, node 3. Okay, so as we know that when I am creating a database called ORCL will be running here, ORCL will be running here, ORCL will be running here. That is called a DB service. At the same time, every node you can see ORCL 1, ORCL 2, ORCL 3. That is called a instance. Whenever you are connecting with a database, you have to specify Oracle SID. Correct? Oracle underscore SID. What do you mean this Oracle underscore SID? That is the instance name. Correct? Oracle underscore SID is the instance name. So usually we are giving Oracle underscore SID equal to ORCL 1, ORCL 2, ORCL 3 corresponding SID we are giving. At the same time, anybody wants to connect the database, they can use ORCL as their connect string, means the service name, database service name as their connect string. Also they can use the instance name as a correct. Correct? Because all entry will be available there. DNS name for what? Isn't it? So use the DNS name for what? You can connect it using @ORCL or @ORCL1. You can trace to the database. Why? Because the listener which is running in the node number 1, he is aware about that. There is a database called ORCL registered with me. Also, there is an instance called ORCL1 registered with me. Correct? So every listener, they are aware about who? Aware about the service. Who inform the information regarding the service to the listener? You know that there is a dynamic registration, correct? Whenever you are starting a database, the database service name will be automatically registered with who? The local listener. Who will take care of it? P1. Correct? The P1 background also take care of it. This is called the dynamic registration. So dynamic registration will be taken care and the information will be written in the your listener.org. So what is the listener.org available now onwards? Oracle is the grid form. Correct? Oracle is onwards. Your listener.org is available in the grid form. DNS info.org available in the Oracle form. Correct? So this way. So every listener came to know that which resource are registered. So you understood what the DB name, database service name, and whenever you create a database, automatically Oracle creates a service called a database name. And the entry regarding the database service will be available in the DBA underscore services. There's a table available DBA underscore services. There you can see all the services which are pre-defined services as well as previous user-defined services. According to Oracle, we can create a 115 services in Oracle Energy. User-defined services. A user can create a number of services. So maximum you can create a 115 user-defined services. Fine. Why need of service? Okay. Anyway, the DB service is available across everybody. All the nodes there is a database service available. Since the database service available across all the nodes, why again I want to create a service? Okay. See the scenario. 3 nodes are available this way. Correct. Okay. Okay, three nodes are available. Now take an example. There is a team, there is an application ERP. Okay. This ERP application team always working with a table called payroll. There is a table, payroll. There is a team sitting, HR team. Fine. This application always works with the ERP team. That will be alright? Okay. Now what I am going to do, these are the ERP application and HR application. Whenever you are invoking the ERP application and HR application, they will be connected to the database using a connect string. True, no? That is basically a post string or a connect string. So what is the connect string? I never give the connect string as an instance name. If you are giving the connect string as an instance name, For example, if you are giving here connect string for this ERP people, I am giving the connect string equal to ORCL1. What happens? Always they will reach there. ORCL1. Correct? So in that case, there is no load balancing. If ORCL1 crash, sorry, they can't connect to any other machine. Why? Because the connect string you already hardcoded in the application with it. So we never use instance name as a connection. Particular, right? Now, which is the other option? DB service name, dynamic service name, ORCL. So all the service name across all the nodes. Since it is available across all the three nodes, what they can do? They can go to any one of the nodes. So what I will do? I will specify here. Okay, in the DNS sort of I will mention, ORCL equal to where it is running node number 1, node number 2, node number 3. VIP day, if you are working with the previous reason, if you are working with what level? Okay, just take an example, previous reason, N1, N2, N3, VIP. Now see this, a user connecting user1 password at the rate ORCL from ERP team. What will happen now? If you will be looking at the DNS program, they will pick one entry. Okay, so picking the first entry, first they will come to the node number 1. Correct. And we are taking the example here, where the employees block will be available. Node number 1. Okay, now another user from the same team connected user 2 with the ORCL from the ERP team. Okay, and when there is a client side load balancing, they will pick randomly. They are clicked on second entry, coming to the second order. So where the employee block will be available now? Third order. So second order. Like that, if the people connecting regardless, they can go to any one of the orders. Just assume that you are working with a 16 node rack. Okay, and if the people using the DB name as a connect string, what will happen? The connection can go to any one of the nodes. So n number of users are connecting simultaneously, what happens? All the connections will be distributed across different nodes. Correct? So it is for the load balancing. But what is the drawback here? When they are retrieving the blocks will be shipped across 16 nodes. Correct? It has to give a clear answer. So what happens? There is a GC weight, problem, weight issue will be there. Global cache, private interconnected connection will be there. Correct? So this is the performance over here. Correct. It is not a good idea to spread the connection across all the available nodes. So that is a good idea. Whenever ERP team connects to the database, let them come to node 1 and node 2. Correct? So they are enjoying the high availability, they are getting the load balancing perfect right now. If you think 2 nodes are not sufficient for them, you give one more node, 3 nodes. Correct? Okay, but restrict is 3 nodes. Okay, taking 5 nodes and giving to payroll team. Correct. So in this case, what happens? Employee table block will be spanning across only 3 nodes, and the payroll table will be spanning across only 5 nodes. Correct. So and more than that, we are restricting the connection to what? The functional connection to some certain node. Correct. So that is what very important thing. Service can restrict the connection for this. So whenever you want to restrict the connection to some certain node, we can use what? We can use search. So what I am going to do is I am going to create a service called ERP here. I am creating a service called ERP here, and I am creating a service called HR here. We will discuss how to create a node. So ERP and ERP running in which node? Node 1 and node 2, and HR is running in which node? Node 3. Now in the DNS node aura, I am going to make an entry. Okay, I am giving an entry. ERP equal to node 1, node 2, and HR equal to node 3. So what happens in this? Whenever anybody using ERP as a connect string, where they will go? They will go only on node 1, node 2, correct? And if you are giving HR as a connect string, where they will go? Only node 3, correct? At the same time, whenever we are coming to this in listener, let me get a connection with ERP. He is very much aware about ERP because ERP is a service, just like a DB service. The moment you create a service for ERP, the ERP service will be automatically registered with whom? The local listener, correct? So the local listener is very much aware about the service. It's not an alias name. It's not a single alias name that can thing. Okay, so service can carry the connection. So very important thing, service can carry the connection to some certain order. Okay, so it's a group of connection. Service is a group of connection. Okay, who is going to perform similar kind of activity? All the people sitting in the HR department, they are going to do the same kind of activity, correct? Let them carry it to the first order and second order. All the people working in the ERP department doing the same activity, let's carry all the connection to 9 and 10 order, correct? So this step of carrying the connection or receiving the connection to some certain order is possible by using what? By using service. So that is what very important point. Okay, working with service. Okay, and the other advantage of the service is, see, I am about the service. Okay, other advantage of the service is service offer one is restricting the connection. Okay, restricting connection. or carry the connection to some certain node. Fine. And the second important is offer high availability. Offer load balancing. First we'll talk about the load balancing. Okay. From the ERP department, if 10 people are connecting, what will happen? ERP service is running from how many nodes? 2 nodes. If 10 people connecting, what happens? The 10 connection will be moved into node 1, node 2. Correct? So, we not exactly 5 plus 5 1, but then will be moving to the first node, moving to the second node. Nothing but a load balance. Correct? So, if these 2 nodes are not enough, why don't you run the service in third node? Then what happens? Connection will be distributed across 3 nodes. That is not a high availability. So, load balancing. Correct? That's load balancing. So, whenever any connection comes, the load will be distributed across different nodes. Where are the services running? Okay, when these people are connecting using ERP connection, that never goes to the node number 3 because in the node number 3 ERP is not running. So, wherever the service is running, the connection will automatically move to that particular location. At the same time, that will distribute across all the nodes where the service is available. So, that is what the load balancing feature. So, service over load balancing capability. Clear the concept? High availability. Okay, high availability means I can do something like this. I create a service in node number 1 and the service is started in the node number 1. Okay, it's running. So service is available in only which node? Node number 1. So whenever anybody connecting using the ERP service, where they will come? Node number 1 only. They never go to any one of the nodes. Because I never bother about the load balancing. Okay, now node number 1 crash. The moment node number 1 crash, the ERP service can automatically fail over to another node. So where the cache will go? Node number 2. This is what I call high. Because whenever any problems happen to the node, the service will fail over to another node. Okay. So the user can enter node number 1, you're doing some activities and suddenly node number 1 crash, where the service will start? Service will start in another node. Correct? No, another node. Correct. So now whenever the new connections are coming, the new connection will go to the node number 2, and the same existing connection also can carry to the new node. Correct. So this is possible. So service offer what? Service offer high availability, service offer load balancing, also service offer connection failover. What is the connection failover? One user already connected with the node number 1. Why? ERP is running there. Node number 1. Clear? Node number 1 got crash. Where the ERP will start? Node number 2. Where the new connection will go? 2.
So, but actually, we go by TNS, right? TNS, they have only node number 1.
I never told you node number 1. Accordingly, we have taken
the service, earlier the service is set node number 1. And new connection come, it will go with node number 1, right? From node number 1, it will fill out to node number 2, set up, right?
Are you giving TNS name means node 1, node 2, or scanning? We are giving scanning. So the scan can understand what? You can understand where it is available. And anyway, even though you are giving VAC also, some configuration, if you don't jump the any one of the node, you have to specify there are some node which can host when there is a failure. That also should be added in the TNS. That's an available node. That's the configuration. Prefer an available configuration you need to make. But anyway, if you are using TNS names with a VAP, that VAP has to be the TNS name. Otherwise, nowadays no need to worry, but because we are using what? Scan. Scan can understand that where it is running. So the connection is going.
So what is the difference between high availability and
high availability means what? The resource will be always available. ERP is my resource? No.
One more. Everybody is the current transaction.
Connection is the connection failover.
Means any new request coming, failover to?
No. One user connected here. Which one? ERP. The failover, because ERP is running here. Suddenly node 1 crash. Where the ERP jumped up? Node number 2. Still the resource available?
Yes.
Yes, that is high availability. Correct. Still ERP resource, it's a resource, correct? ERP is a resource. Is the resource available? Yes, resource available. But where the resource available? Second order. Since the resource is available, all the new connection can come to which order? Second order. Correct? Is it denying any people because the service tax don't come and connect? No. Correct? Because this is what the service failover. Because of the service failover, what happened now? The resource is not down. Resource is still up. Anybody can come and connect. High availability. Resource is highly available. At the same time, somebody already connected to node number 1. Because why? The service was running in that node number 1. Node number 1 crashed. So service where it is moved in the second node. Correct. New can become the second node. But now what will happen? When the service failed here, if the service germinates to the second node, the connection also will be moving to the second node. Okay, that is what I said, connection failure. But connection failure is possible only if you configure. By default, the service never offer connection failure. By default, service offer only service failure. Correct? It never offer what? Connection failure. For connection failure, we have to configure tab. I will explain this on the later tab. Transparent application failure. If you configure a transparent application failure, whenever the service jumps, connection also will be automatically carried. But I am talking about the property of service. Why is service? Correct. So service offer what? Service offer connection failure. Give that answer.
Existing sources we can create each one.
One database, not a node. In one database, I can create a 115.
Then the question is, let's say we have 5 nodes. Can one node have 2 services? I mean, my data also I want to share.
One node can have
one common node.
One node can, one instance can host so many services. But in a database, what is the database? In the database, total number of services considered 150. And this 150 service can be any one of the nodes. Wherever. One node can have any number of services. Depends on the case. Here is the answer. Okay, very important thing. If any question you can ask me. Okay.
So this connection failover is coming to high availability?
Yeah, connection failover also part of the high availability. If the connection failover is not there, we cannot say high availability. High availability is what? It's a very restricted word. High availability means the resource is available. We never talk about our connections. Correct. Our resource is what? For actually standard dynamics there is no high availability, right? Your ORC database is running, ORC instance also running. Even the ORC instance crash, there is no high availability. Why? ORC instance is not starting any one of the nodes. Correct? So there is no high availability in single instance. But in the rack environment, there is a high availability. What is the high availability? ORC 1 and ORC 2, two instances are available. Even though ORC 1 instance crash, still people are able to use the database. How come ORC 2 is running? We are not talking about the connection standard. The resource is what is the resource? Database is the resource, correct? So the resource is available. Same concept. You are able to reach the database using a service called ERP. Even though ERP downloads the code, still don't worry. You are able to reach the resource, database and services through what? Through the second order. Because ERP is doing that. That is high availability, correct? At the same time, somebody may be working on the database and he may be done some activities. Suddenly there is a crash happens, resource may be jumping and that is fine, high availability. What about my connection? Correct. So the connection also has to carry. Okay, so that is what I got. Connection failover. For the connection failover, there is an extra configuration required. That is what I got. That is what the concurrent application failover. So tab has to be configured. Using the have to configure tab. Application failover. Clear? Okay. We are talking about why service. Fine. Another thing of the service is when the performance tuning coming the picture. Service having a high priority. We are talking about service. Okay, there is something called service level aggregation and service level pricing. In performance tuning factor, we have a service aggregation and service level pricing. Just take a small example. There is an application called ERP. It's an application, not a service, single application. Okay. And this application will be used by 5,000 customers. So there will be user code you want you to utilize 5,000 customers. So all these 5,000 customers are using the ERP application, but ERP application always want to talk to the backend. This is what my deal. So how many connections will be coming to the backend? 5,000 connections will be coming to the backend. But we love it. Okay. Out of this, one day 11 o'clock I got a feedback from the customer. From the people who are working with ERP application, I got feedback from the customer. Not only ERP people, there are so many other people also working. Never forget only ERP. Data HR team and the payroll team, so many teams are working. Okay, so total around 21 users are there. Just an example. So one day I got a feedback from the team who working in the ERP application. They have a performance profile. When they are executing some execution statement, when they are executing the application, the performance is highly decreased. So that's the feedback I received from the customer. Okay. So almost all people connecting through the ERP application, they are complaining. Correct. So what should I do? As you know that if you want to go for an end-to-end application, tuning and all, we will go for application level tracing. TK proof, tracing file and all. So we have to read that trace file, we have to convert it to reader format with the TK proof, and we have to go. How many trace files you have to read? 5,000 trace files. How do you know that it is at 5,000? Because since the 20,000 users are connected, trace file only server of traces, correct? So 20,000 trace file you can see inside. How you can understand this 5,000 is very tedious now. Okay, so in a real scenario, in a production environment, end-to-end user tracing is very difficult task. I cannot enable the tracing for, if you want to go for 5,000 user tracing, I have to enable the tracing for each and every user, correct? I have to get the SID, I have to enable, connecting, I have to enable so many tasks I have to do it. And okay, I enabled for 5,000 users. What about if 10 more users also connecting with the ERP application? That 10 users will not be getting traced, is it? Remember that? So if I want to go for an end-to-end application tracing, what I will do is, I will create a service code at ERP. Example, I am creating a service code ERP. Okay, and the same service name, I will give as a connection. So what is the connecting they are using? All the 5,000 users are using ERP. So whenever they are connecting, username / password @ERP. Correct? No? So using ERP connecting only, they can reach to which application, which database? ERP. Correct? No? So I mentioned like that. So all the customers working with ERP application, they are using only ERP as a connection. The people who are working with the payroll application, they are using payroll as a connection. Payroll and ERP mathematics service. Where it is resulting in that database. Okay, now what I will do, instead of enabling the tracing for 5,000 users, I will simply enable the tracing for ERP. That is what a service level tracing. Correct. So I enable the tracing. Very easy to do from the back end. Simply enable the tracing from the back end. So once you enable the tracing from the back end for the ERP, whoever is using ERP as their connection, those people will be getting traced in the back end. Correct. Therefore, then we can easily go to the trace file. Okay, we can read it and we can interpret what exactly is the flow. So this is called as service level tracing. Same way the statistics also we can connect. Because of these 5,000 users, what's the amount of hard passing, what's the number of IO, what's the basic ratio, any piece of information, any type of statistics, that is what service level statistics, nothing but a service level aggregation. So service level aggregation, service level tracing is possible if you are going for what? If you are going for a service. So service is a very important concept. Without service, forget about that. Very difficult to manage that. Overall idea is what? But when you are working with the things, you can easily understand that. Now, just see that, how to work with the services, how the connection failed over, how the things behave and behave. But now you understood why service. If there is no service, if all the customers are using the DB name as a connection, what will happen? Database name as a connection, what will happen? There is no restriction for the connection. Connection can go to any one of the router. Okay, and the block will be shipping across all the router. And more than that, if any one of the router crash also, there is no service level failover because all fields are across everybody. So there is no failover, there is no carrying an action, okay, and there is no service level aggregation, raising, those things are not. So if you want to look for all the features, what we need to do, we will offer it. Raising the level. Okay, but by default you can, we are saying. Okay. Oracle 11 first the user trace are okay. Oracle 10G. Oracle 10G है user trace है. So your user traces are again the U number. Background traces are the B number. Alert stop is the B number. Correct. Alert stop is the B number. Oracle 11G is at least one or two. Diagnostic test is ADR. You know how the ADR works? Automatic diagnostic repository. Okay, and ADR having all the incident errors. When we are going to the diagnostic chapter, there is a troubleshooting chapter comes. We will discuss that. So that is very important.
Every log is.
Yeah, all the logs are coming under the assigned location. So raising an SR, raising a ticket are not very useful. Now if I want to raise a SR with Oracle Corporation, how we do it? Oracle 10G, Oracle 9. For example, I am facing an issue. So I want to raise an SR. So what do you do? I have to get I don't know what I'm not much expert at all. So I will copy some alert sentence, I will copy some page file, I will take some screenshot, so many things I will take, I copy paste into one folder and I will shift it as into. Correct. When they are going to this ticket error, they came to the relevant information not there. The information which you are giving is not proper. So again what they will do? They will come to you. Again, we have to communicate. So there is a communication gap, so that the problem will be escalated like anything, lot of issues. Correct? Why these things are happening? Because the support people sitting there, they fail to understand what exactly the problem you are facing. This was the real time scenario. Correct? Okay. But Oracle 11 what we can do is, all the diagnostic files will be available in a single location for the area. Whenever any problem comes, for example, you are facing a problem called block corruption. Very simple example, block corruption. So for a block corruption, what will happen? The error will be written as trace file, alert block file, and delivery area it will be written. Correct? Okay. So whenever any problem is happening in Oracle 11G, it is called as an incident. Now what we are calling as an incident. This incident will be generated in the ADR. ADR stands for automatic diagnostic repository. We'll discuss later ADR. It will have the incident. Okay. And all the files associated with the incident will be available in the repository. There is an ADR repository available. All the files are available in the repository. Perfectly alright? So there is a problem called X-ray center. This is a crucial problem. I do not understand what exactly is happening inside. If I want, I can connect all the files and send to them. Correct? Now only that. What I can do is, I can go to Enterprise Manager or ADRC utility. From there, you simply specify what? You simply select the incident ID. Every incident there is an incident ID. Correct? Simply select the incident ID and click on a package button. When I click on a package button, what will happen? All the diagnostic files associated with this particular affair will be copied into one folder, zip it, send it. Correct? So you know how to do it. Correct? So fully automated. So you need to copy files, you keep in one folder and zip it and give a name. The name will be automatically given, zipping will be automatically taken, copying the file, extracting the content, putting in one file, zip everything will be automatically taken. Only you need to send it. You need to provide your customer CSI number and all things you need to provide a send. The moment they receive that ticket, they can understand what exactly the problem, because the file you send will have a problem ID and incident ID. By seeing the problem ID and incident ID, they can understand what exactly is there. And any single provider will not miss from that file because it's automatically extracted. Correct? So this is what is in India. It's a very good enhancement they made in Oracle 11G release 1 onwards. Okay, but we will see when we are going to the diagnosis after that. We'll see that. Correct? So pricing, for pricing purpose, it's a very important thing. What we can do, we can go for the service. Okay, now we will see how to work. You understand the importance of service, that's a wide service. Correct? Now, how to create a service? So you can create a service this way. Just take an example. Node number 1, 2, 3 node. Okay, I'm working with 3 node or 4 node. Just an example. Okay, so node 1, node 2, node 3, node 4. Oracle database is running across all the nodes. Oracle 1, Oracle 2, Oracle 3, instance is running different. Correct? So Oracle 1, 2, 3, 4, different things are running. Right? You can create a service using a utility called a DBCA. Fine. You can create a service using Enterprise Manager. You can create a service using SRB, CTL, Samachar. Okay. Very important thing, creating a service. But you can create a service in the DBCA only in Oracle 10G. Oracle 11G, you cannot create a service using DBCA. Very important point. Okay, so you can't create a service using DBCA where in Oracle 10G. Sorry, Oracle 11G. But in Oracle 10G, you can easily create using the DBCA. Okay. But Oracle 11G, what we have to do? In Oracle 10G or Oracle 11G, we can use CM. Oracle 10G or Oracle 11G, you can use CM. Okay. So, whenever there is a need of creating a service in Oracle 11G, which are the tools? CM and SRB. Correct. You cannot use this command DBCA, you cannot use it. But anyway, if you are creating a service, the service always available within the database. Correct? The moment you create a service, the entry will be available in the data directory. You log on the database and you are typing the command SRB will create a service. So when you are creating a service, what will happen? The entry will be automatically made in the data directory. You are able to see the entry from which table? DB and service. Correct? DB and service. At the same time, the information regarding service is a resource. Correct? So whenever I am creating a service called resource called service, the entry must be there in some file where in a rack environment, when you are creating a service, the service entry must be in that particular file. Which file? OCR file. The entry must be there in the OCR file. So when I'm creating a service, the entry has to be there in the OCR file. OCR file entry must be there. Okay. So if you're creating a service using the DBCA, the entry will be automatically made in the OCR file. If you're creating a service using the EM, entry will be automatically made. Here also entry will be automatically made. But the DBCA is supposed to only the engine. Correct. So OCR entry will be automatically taken care as part of the service station. You don't need to do it. You don't need to add it again in the OCR file. No need. So the moment you create a service, the service entry will automatically appear in the OCR file. But that is mandatory, in the custom environment. That's the same. At the same time, if anybody wants to connect to the service, I am using username and password as a service name. So if anybody wants to connect to the service should be up and running. Where? In a particular node, correct? The service should be up and running. So service must be started. So if the service in a stop state, what happens? You cannot connect it, correct? So starting the service must start. Correct? So if you're creating a service in the GPCA, automatically the service will start. If you're creating a service using EM, automatically it will start. But if you're creating a service using SRCCL, service may not start automatically. It will never start automatically. So what would I do? Manually, I have started. So using the same command SRCCL, I have started again. The way how you create it, the same way we need to start it again. Correct? So, but if you're working with the DBCA and EM, they will automatically start the service. But SRCCL never starts. Correct. At the same time, the entry regarding the service should be there in the DNS instance. Correct? DNS is a node. So that will be automatically made here if you are using the DBCA. If you are using EM, this will be made automatically. But SRCCL never make an entry in the DNS instance. You have to make manually. Hope you take the entry and change it. Correct. Why DNS entry you need? Definitely manual. Correct. That's DNS entry, isn't it? So in Oracle, SRCCL command, only OCR entry will be there. It never starts the service, and DNS entry also will not be there. So according to Oracle, this is the best option to create a service. EM, correct? But we are not much happy with EM because of performance. So what we will do? We are using SRCCL. Correct. Okay. So very importantly, working with the creating the service or working with the service. Now here, how to create a service? I am creating a service this way, SRCCL, add service. Okay. -s service name. For example, my service name is ERP. Okay, actually -s service name. The service always should map the database -d ORCL. Fine? Means the service is running in which database? ORCL database. Now, very important configuration. -r ORCL1. Okay, instance name. -a ORCL2. What is hyphen? Yeah, okay. So -s service name, -d database name, -r preferable node, preferable instance. That is what -r. Okay. Available instance. -a. Preferable instance.
There can be multiple also.
Again, comma separate. Comma, -a, comma. What will happen now? Just see. Okay, preferable instance means initially where the service has to start. That is the cardinality. Okay, how many nodes you are going to give in the -r? That is the cardinality. Means where the service has to start initially. Correct. -a means available. Available means if the preferable instance is down, the service has to pay over where? So service will be paid over to which instance? Available. But the service always expecting in which node? Preferable node. Correct. No? So preferable instance. So when you are starting the service, Whatever is the service start out of the two nodes, whatever the service always comes to the first node, right? Because that's preferable. If the preferable instance crash, automatically the service will move in which node? Available. Correct? You can mention multiple available, multiple preferable. Yeah. Okay. According to this example, ERP service will be running here. Fine, it's already running here. And the ERP service is already configured, but it is not running. Why? Because this is preferable, this is available.
If both goes down in the fourth node, then
So, you cannot connect. What I do one means service is not available. You can go to 3 and 4 other services.
will not fail over to.
You can fail over only this one period. Correct. If you want to do the failover in the third node, get to the -a overflow to comma, overflow free. You can still say number of nodes. Correct. So according to this example, if the node number 1 crash, what happens? Service will be moved to this node number.
So you have 5 for 5 never be any more output.
If the service is whenever anybody using ERP it can come to the first node only, correct? They will go to the second node only when the first node is not available. If the first node and second node is no longer available, the service never plays any one of the nodes. That is what the importance of service. Correct? Correct. Accordingly, we can't say that service is down across all the nodes means you are designing no node. Correct? We have to design such a way. So, go for multiple preferable, multiple available according to the requirement, according to the need, whatever we have to configure. So, this is a high availability configuration. What is a high availability configuration? Whenever the node number 1 crashes, what happens? Service will automatically start in which node? Available node. So, the service will start in the available node only if the preferable node crash. Correct. Then, the user will go to which node? Available. But the service is ready. Correct. Clear for that. Now, I am giving something like this. -r ORCL1, ORCL2. That's all. What will happen? The service is preferably running 2 nodes. There is no available node. What is the cardinality? 2 is the cardinality. Correct. So whenever any users are connecting, the connection will be going either in the first node or in the second node. Nothing but a load time. Nothing but a load time. Correct. So even though a node transferred to the node, other node is available, high availability. So this configuration offers high availability as well as load balancing. This configuration offers only high availability. There is no load balancing. So this is the high configuration.
Was there one confusion is in case of -r, -a, the same thing is happening that you are doing with -r what in both cases, if the services fail in the first node, then it will automatically fail over to the second node, right?
See, the configuration is not same. For after the first example, all the connections will go to first node only. Why? The service is running in only which node? Node 1. The connection will go to the second node only when first node is crashed. Means only offer what? Only offer high availability. Second configuration what? The service is preferably running how many nodes? 2 nodes. So when the connection comes, what they will do? The connection is going to be either node 1 or node 2. That is what a load balancing. If node number 1 crash, also no issue. Service is still running there. Okay, so that is, we have to do the configuration, symmetric way, isometric way, active passive way, there are so many ways are available. So accordingly, so what is my, objective? Accordingly, we will configure. Some application need high availability. They never bother about what? They have load balancing. So I can go for it. Some application need a load balancing. Today I am happy with running the ERP in 1 node. Okay. One that I am not happy with running the service in 1 node because they want to put so many records. They want to, I'm working at database environment, so they want to trigger the record. So what I will do? I will run the service across multiple nodes. Correct. So according to the requirement, according to the workload can be distributed across different machines using the service. So all these things are very, very important. Clear?
So this is only taking care of load balancing.
Multiples of
Failover, but tab is a property of service. Transparent application failover is a property of the service. Whenever I am creating a service, you have to specify the magnitude. Correct? Just like you are giving a service name, just like you are giving database name, you are giving preferable, available. Like that, I have to specify tab. I have enabled tab. We discussed that, how the tab enable, how to do it. Correct?
Both the case failover is happening. right?
Both the cases we have done.
So what we put is down in the second case, automatically it will move to our
Perfect law, and everything is perfect law. Now, here you are wasting the resource sometimes, correct? I want to run only one day. Now you are running two machines, you are wasting the resource. Depends on the, completely depends on the business. Now, this is what type of configuration? This configuration is admin manager or admin manager? Why admin manager?
So
You are specifying where to keep the service preferable, where to put the service available. As a DP, I have to specify. So if I want to make the service preferable in file order, available in file order, you know the plain for that. You have to say 10, you have to specify hyphen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then hyphen 8, 6, 7, 8, 9, you have to specify. Correct? Tomorrow, if you think the file orders are not enough, again what should I do? Yes, this is modified. You have to make decisions. Correct? So in a big environment, when you're playing with the n number of services, it's very difficult task for the Linux administrators to manage. When the scalability comes in picture, when too many nodes you are handling, it's a very difficult task to place the service because you are not creating a single service. You are creating n number of services. Individually, you have to say, place here, place there, and all. And model, you can see that whenever you are going for a preferable model, it can be the it can be the worst machine always. Correct? Possibility. For example, this machine does not have that much processing capability, and always this machine will be 100% the exposure. Always I'm saying that. So you are saying that this is a preferable machine. So always the service will be placed in the wrong machine. Why? Because as a DPA, as an administrator, you specified it. You are not the drawback here. Okay, this is what the configuration I have written here. This is an example for what? Administrative manager. Correct. Administrative manager. If you are talking about the policy manager, how to do it? First of all, what can you do?
Service.
If you want to go for policy manager, what can you do first? Server. That's the administrator server. Just for the discussion, what I am doing here, using all the three nodes, I have created server full code SP1. Okay, and still I am saying that node 1, node 2, they are highly exhausted for the time being. Node 3 is absolutely free. This is an example. Okay, so node 1, node 2, they are very busy, but what is happening, and node 3 is absolutely free. But if you are placing the resource manually, you may select the wrong node, correct? Correct, no? Now take an example. I already created a server full code SP1. After creating the server full code SP1, I want to place the resource. Correct. But I don't want to go for admin manager option. I want to go for what? I wish to go for policy manager option. So how we are going for policy manager option? Okay. So same way we have to do it. SRPCTL add service. Correct. Add service. Hyphen S ERP. ERP. Okay. Hyphen D or EL. We never give a hyphen R hyphen A. Correct. Instead of that, continuation, we have to specify hyphen G. SD1. What is SD1? Server full name. Okay. Hyphen C. Hyphen C. You have two options. One is singleton, and another is uniform. Means here after hyphen C, either I can give a singleton or I can give a uniform. Fine. See.
What is that?
And same syntax, exactly same. Only hyphen R, hyphen A, we have a number of options. Hyphen G, SP1, hyphen C, singleton. Now hyphen singleton, what will happen now? See. Anywhere, do you mention anywhere that node is in? No. Instance they note nothing is already correct. Now what happens? Since you given singleton, according to the singleton, the service has to be placed only on one node in the server code, and that should be the best node. Because whenever they are placing the resource, whenever they are placing the service in the node, they will see the LBA. What is the LBA? Load balancing adversary. What do you mean by load balancing adversary? Where the load is very low by the time of placing the resource. Correct. But according to the singleton, the cardinality always will be 1. Correct. According to this example, cardinality always will be 1 only, no? True. What is one only? According to this example. Here also I am giving like this. So here the thing is you are blindly specifying one table. Here I am not specifying only SD1. So what happens? Out of the three nodes, the service will be running any one of the nodes which is That's the word. Correct. So your ERP service is running here. Now there is no available, there is no preferable, nothing is available. Only the service is running in one order. Wherever the service is running, we select the preferable order. But we can't use the term preferable because preferable available only for administrative manager. Correct. So service is running. I'm happy. Okay, right? But suddenly, node number 3 crash. Okay. Node number 3 crash. According to the configuration, cardinality has shown in 1. Correct. So the cardinality failure. So what happens? Service will automatically moving to any one of the two node, any one of the best in the two, it will be running. So what happens? Just for discussion, this is 90% exam, this is 70% only. So service will be coming here. Yeah, it's loaded. Okay, it is loaded. It will be coming in the list. But still it is running only only machine. Only one. Do you place the resource? No. This will be moving here and there according to the policy. So this is what a policy manager service.
So that means connection will always be coming that particular.
If you enable the connection or balancing failure, it will come down. Means which case you are talking about? Here? Yeah. In this case, that will come here.
All the
connection. All the new connections are going to come to the second order. All the existing connections from the third order also can come to the second order if the task enabled.
But that means totally it is not happening here.
According to this section, there is no, because you also know load balancing. So, I am talking about this configuration. Hyphen R, hyphen A.
No, this is not there.
There is another configuration, uniform. There is another. This is single term.
Built of
What is that? Okay. Server allowed a group of servers. That's all. Group of machines. Of course, singleton will offer only what? High availability. Never offer. Singleton never offers any load balance because we know that. That's what we call it as a singleton. Yeah, not singleton. Now, see the next configuration. Uniform. Okay, uniform. If I'm giving uniform, that is exactly same as hyphen R, ORCL, ORCL 2, ORCL 3. Means what? I have to place the resource for load 1, load 2, load 3.
Uniform on all
the loaders. Correct. Uniform means placing the resource across all the loaders within the server. Nothing but a load balance. Nothing but a load balance. Higher availability is load balance. Okay. So in this case, I will be giving hyphen S ERP, hyphen D ORCL. Okay. Then hyphen G SP1 and hyphen C uniform. Correct.
But are you not placing the resource uniformly running from all the nodes?
Then why you create a server with a 3 order? Why don't you create a server with a 2 order? Correct. If you're saying that ESP1 is having 20 orders and you are placing the resource type of 20 orders, but actually I am not looking for placing the resource type of 20 orders. Why you want to add 20 orders to the same server? Why don't you create only 5 orders to the same server? Correct. So whenever there is a requirement, today just in the scenario, the service will be running across 3 orders. What's the right? Why is service is running across 3 orders? Uniform. Correct. So whenever any user connects, they will go for what? They will go for any one of the nodes. What's the right? Okay. Now I think okay, 3 node is not sufficient for me. Still I have some performance issue. So what I can do, you don't need to modify the server property. You simply add the node number 4 as part of previous example, you are editing the service policy, correct? You don't have to do it. You simply add one more. So month I will be adding node number 4 in the server pool. After that month I will remove the node from the server. I will be adding. So you may have so many group of server pools available, so many spare machines are available. So this spare machine you are going to put to different server pools according to the working. Principal concept, correct? So wherever you need the resource, use the spare machine. Just simply spare machines are what? They are not part of the cluster, but they are not part of any server.
But if we are adding,
But we have already added some and we have this. So if I execute what uniform will be again same amount of
Command is already executed. It is already made. In the Voice45 file, they already made an entry. In the Voice45 file, they are making an entry. How many nodes are there in SP1? Run the service across all the nodes. Wait, how many nodes are available now? 3. Only 3 nodes are available. The 3 nodes are available where the service is running. Only 3 nodes. Later I say these 3 nodes are not enough. What should I do? type of protocol. Correct? So what I can do? You are going to modify the service configuration. Correct. Service configuration means only how many machines are available in SP1, run the service across all the SP1. Correct. All the machines SP1. You will want to test the part. You look into only what? Server code. How many machines are there in the server code? Only 3 machines. Correct. So you add CRC will add server code. Same what you do. CRC will modify. SRC will modify. So we have server code. Correct. So SRC will modify server code. CRC will modify server code. There you specify server code 1, sorry, node 1, node 2, node 3, node 4. Add all the lists. Correct. Now how many nodes are available? 4 nodes are available. But still the name of the server code is what? SP1. So the name of the server code is SP1. Where the service is placed across.
So after adding the node, do we need to restart the service?
Nothing. They will do it. They will set up.
And how many nodes we can add into the share pool? Is there any limit?
Nothing like that. N number of nodes you can add.
What's the command? For adding nodes to the
SRC will modify. Not adding, it's modifying.
In case of policy panel, you have to add server pool, modify server pool. In case of
Creating a server pool is add command. SRC will add. What's the purpose? Creating a server pool. Correct. If you want to modify means any one of the attributes if you want to modify, this command SRC will modify. Correct. Attribute is the number of nodes is an attribute. Correct. Minimum number of nodes, maximum number of nodes is an attribute. So whenever you want to make any changes in the attribute, you have to modify. Clear? You understand? Okay. So this is the way. But anyway, for us, we are not using this particular configuration. We are using admin manager configuration. But we can see advantage, right? Somewhat the resource will be, but we don't have much control over here because everything will be determined by whom? Determined by the policy. So this is what a policy manager is. Clear this concept? So how to create a service? How to learn to the service? Now, one important point before proceeding. When you are creating a service, it will ask you some questions. Okay, I'll show you. I'll show you that text. Some point you have to remember. You can make a note of it.
ଜଲ୍ଦି ଶୋଇ ପଡ଼ୁଛି କଥା କହୁଛି ସେଗୁଡ଼ା ଇଏ କଣ ସକାଳ 9ଟା ବେଳେ ମା ଦେଖିଥିଲେ ସେଗୁଡ଼ା ଟିକେ ଶୋଇଥିଲେ ସବୁ ଭଲ ଖେଳ ଖେଳ ଭଗବାନ ତ एक्चुअली 9 बजे उठ जाते हैं सुबह सुबह 9 बजे उठ जाते हैं यहाँ पे तो जल्दी उठ जाते 12 बजे से नहीं उठते थे सुबह 9 बजे तक आज पगड़ा है वो ये बोलो खेल गई बड़ों देखिए खेल देखिए बड़ी अच्छा लगा
Okay, now see here. When you are creating a service, you have to specify service name. Anyway, I will explain it. Just look at it. Okay, it will specify the service name. Okay, so every service we have to specify a service name. For example, for us, we are giving ERP. So for every service we are giving a service name. So I am giving ERP as a service. It's mandatory. Okay, that is what the service name, network name. Fine. And the next one is network name. Network name means the service should be uniquely identified in the network. For example, if the service name is ERP, it will be erp.example.com, erp.racktest.com. Correct? That is what the network means. Means it will include what? Your domain name also.
Domain name.
Okay. Now, high availability configuration. In the high availability configuration, we have to specify preferable instance or available instance. You know what the preferable instance available? Correct. So, in the high availability configuration, we can specify whether it is preferable instance, which are the preferable instance, which are the available instance. That we have to specify. Distributed transaction. What is the distributed transaction?
Attachment is spanning across
different databases, correct? So if you want to span the resource control transaction across multiple databases, then we have a distribution transaction stack as enable. Okay, optional. Fine. Connection load balancing goal and the connection load balancing algorithm. Very very important thing. Connection load balancing goal stands for load balancing algorithm. Very important topic, LBA. Connection load balancing goal stands for LBA, load balancing advisory. I already told you that whenever a connection comes, the connection automatically moves to least loaded node. So if the connection wants to move to the least loaded node, they must calculate what? Which load, work load, correct? So there should be some work load calculator. So work load calculation. So the work load calculation will be done by which background process? Workload calculation will be done by manageability monitor light background process, MMNL background process. Very important factor as well. I'm talking about the connection load balancing goal. Okay, connection load balancing goal. The connection load balancing goal, LBA, they have to calculate which service is doing the best, correct? Do you know that? Which service, the service is running the node number 1 also, node number 2. ERP is running node number 1 also, ERP running node number 2 also. But the ERP running in both node, who can give you the best service? Correct? So that has to be calculated. That is what your work load. So the work load will be calculated by the MMNL background process. Manageability, monitor background process. Using two factors. One is, response time. Okay. Otherwise, it will use throughput. So either they are using response time or throughput, but not both. How they calculate the workload? Workload is an LBA, correct? This one is an LBA, load balancing advisory. So the load balancing advisory calculated by using two factors. Which are two factors? Either response time or throughput. What do you mean by response time? The time taken for processing or executing a query. You have to reduce or increase? Reduce. Response time is to reduce. Within time I am expecting the output. So depends on the response time, manageability monitor can calculate the LBA, load balancing advisory. Who is the best? Okay. Also they can see the throughput. What is the throughput? How many tasks at a time? How many queries they can execute at a time? How many tasks they can finish at a time? That is the throughput. Increase or reduce? Increase. The throughput we have increased, response time is reduced. So either use the response time or use the throughput. We have an option. What they will do? They will calculate the load balancing advisory. For what of the LBA?
Load balancing.
Which node is highly exhausted, which is least loaded. So that is what the LBA, load balancing advisory. Also known as service goodness. Very important term. Service goodness. What is service goodness?
Good service.
How
The effectiveness of the service. How good he is, correct? ERP is running in the node number 1, ERP running in the node number 2. But the node number 2 is very much exhausted. So according to this example, what is the service goodness is high?
2.
Node number 1. The effectiveness of the service. Okay. How we can, give you the service. Okay. So that is called the service goodness. So the service goodness for LBA calculated by MMNL using which factors? Response time and the throughput. This is the way they are identifying which is the least loaded node, which is the highly loaded node. So that is what we have to specify. So all the functions are we have to specify about service station. Okay. When I'm creating a service, it will ask you what's the service name, what's the network name, which are the high availability configuration, preferable or available. Correct. Also, distributed transmission is enabled or not. And again, we have to select connection load balancing for load balancing advisory. We have to select if you want to use response time or you want to use throughputer. Which option you want to use. Correct. And the second option is load balancing algorithm. Okay. For the load balancing purpose, which algorithm they are using? You understand what's an LTE? Correct. For that load balancing, which algorithm they have to use? There are two options in front of you. Either you have to go for a short algorithm or you have to go for a long algorithm. There are short and long, two keywords are available. Short and long. Okay. Short always represents a service goodness or a LTE. Okay. Long always represents a connection, session type, session counter. Session.
Short.
So, short always representing LTA. What do you mean by LTA? Which the least, which the master. Which node is the least loaded, which the means first loaded. Long session counter. Session count means number of sessions. Take as one example here. Node number 1, node number 2, two nodes. ERP service preferably running the first node. Also ERP service preferably running the second. What do you mean by that? It's running across both. So when the connection comes, connection will be even. Okay. And in the first node, fine, 10 users are connected. Fine, but they are not doing any task. That's the reason this node node is only 10% workload handling. Means least. Right? And in the node number 2, okay, only 4 people connected. Example, 4 users connected. Okay, but he almost 80% exhausted. Possibility, no? One user can connect and he can execute some application which take a control resource. Possibility. Okay, so according to this example, whenever a new connection comes, where the connection should go? Node 1 or node 2? The connection should go to node 1. Correct? Perfectly alright. Now, you have control. Whether you want to go to the node 1 or node 2, you have control. So, what I am doing is, load balancing algorithm I am giving short. So, since I am giving short, the connection always will look for which factor? LTA. According to LTA, the connection has to go to the least loaded node. So, what happens in this case? The connection always comes with node number 1. Good only, because it is only 10% exhausted. Fine. Assume you are using long option. If you are using long option, what happens? The connection will go to which node? Node number 2. Because the number of sessions are very less in the second node. So all the connection go to second node. But you are going for a wrong node. Correct? Because you cannot offer a good performance. You ready for it? No. What type of situation you can go for long option? In this case, it's not a good choice.
But we have less workload, and also simultaneously session counts are also.
What type of situation?
We are for long lived application.
Means we can say something like just a some example. All the users are having the same amount of workload. When I am doing the activity, when you are doing the activity, when my friend doing the activity, what happens? Resource will be consumed. For example, when I am connecting with the database, if you are doing something, I will take 1%. You are also will take 1% CPU. He also will take 1% CPU. So everybody doing the common task, correct? Same amount of activity. So everybody will do what? Same amount of resources. So in that case, when the number of friends are increasing, what will happen? The resource consumption will increase. When the number of friends are less, resource consumption will be less. Correct? Yeah. Example. Correct. Okay. For example, I am going to book a railway ticket. Correct. If I am booking the railway ticket, okay, to my native. If you are booking the railway ticket to your native, for example, you want to book a ticket to Chennai, one day you want to book a ticket to Delhi. So Delhi is so far, so he is consuming 50%, this guy consuming 10%. Nothing logic. Correct. So you book a single ticket. So booking a single ticket will consume X amount of resource. Correct. Means for one condition. So what happens? The transaction will consume a similar amount of resources, depends on different of the customer. So if too many users are booking the ticket at the same time, resource consumption is very high. Less amount of resource, Correct. So resource consumption will be very less. Correct. So this is the way it is going to work. Correct. So you can specify that one, isn't it? So just take another example. In that case, which of three can configure? If all the nodes are doing a similar amount of tasks, so which of three can perform? Long motion. Now take an example, HDFC Bank. Okay. In HDFC Bank there are two nodes, node 1 and node 2. But the service delivery was 4 nodes. Same service. So customers are going to, so many customers, in one of the nodes some people connected. Okay, 10 users connected in one node and they are transferring the amount from one bank to another. They are doing some transaction, withdrawing the money or depositing the money, whatever it is, they are doing some transaction. Because you know that since the DML operation does not specify amount of resource, perfect alright. Correct. In that case, too many users or less users according to they are going to consume. For example, 10 users connected and after 10 users connecting, what will happen? Here 10 users connected and they are going to do what? They are going to do some DML operations. The DML is transferring the amount error, so they consume 10% CPU resources. Correct. And another user types in the database to HDFC Bank and he put in 2 years bank statement. So in the second not only one user connected, but not the 10 users connected. But the 10 users consuming small amount of resource. Why? Because they are doing small transaction. At the same time, like at the second order, only one guy connected, he put in 2 years statement. What happened now? The resource consumption too high where in the second order. Correct. In this example, if you are going for long, what will happen? Where the you guys will go? Second node. What about the second node now? Even though the number of threads are very less, correct. So if you are working with a dissimilar nature, correct? Like pulling record, DM, but we never do such a way. Correct? We have something configuration OLTP, DM, data warehouse and this support system. We will configure accordingly what we are going to do. So this is very, very important thing. But real time I can tell you which one is good actually. Short of by default long. Okay. When you are creating a service, by default which option?
But how can you know even before starting transaction and whether short is good or long?
You can create it, not a transaction.
Yeah.
You are using a service. You can see the property that service is using long or short.
That is very short.
You can see if the service which you are using is using which option, short or long. So you know that the comparison, that's how the short and long work. If you want to make any changes, you have to make the changes. Modify it, you can modify it. You can modify it. But that should be different from the business environment. Blindly you are doing some activity, some changing environment, and you understand clearly how this will impact. Okay, so short always depends on the LPA, long depends on the session count. Fine. Priority. Okay, priority means you can give some priority for some certain services. Just take an example. I am creating 2 services. The first service ERP and another service is HR. My customer will be connecting to the ERP service and customer will be connecting to the HR service. But I want to give a high priority for the HR service. Priority is the CPU, more resource. I want to give a lot of CPU, lot of resources to which people, etc. So what I can do? We can create a consumer group, resource manager. Let's say another resource manager. Isn't it? So use the resource manager. Okay, you can create a consumer group. Consumer group. So what I have done, I create a consumer group called ERP consumer group and I allocated 60% CPU. And I am creating another consumer group and I am giving the name HR consumer group. For example, here I want to give you less. Okay, so I am giving 20%, here I am giving, for example, 60%. So what happens? You can map, service can be mapped. ERP I can map with this customer group, HR I can map with this customer group. So whoever connects with the HR service, always they will get a 60% of the CPU. Means 60% will be divided by all the users. Correct? So this is what a priority. So the priority can be configured using the source manager consumer group.
And there we need to mention the consumer group.
Yeah, mapping. Service and manager group mapping. Before that, we have to create a consumer group. We have to fix the resources. So 2 consumer groups individually create, separately create and mention all the resources. Okay, CPU you can process, IO you can process, IO you can process, so many things you can process. Specify all the operations, then do the mapping. So it is valid for our different whoever connecting using that particular XR, it will be important. Right. 60% is given. If a 10 users are connecting using extra service, 60% agriculture से 100% हो, correct? Then that 60% will get across all the 10 users. If 1,000 users are connecting, again what happens? Then it's a problem. So don't allow so many users to come and access the state. So you can go for active session pool, at a time how many people are active, all things you can restrict. Session time mode, idle time mode, blocking time mode, locking time mode. Many things you can specify. Very important. Okay, but now you can match that as a group along with the service. So whoever is using that particular service, they will get that amount of money. Yeah. Okay. So that was very important in priority. And the threshold, we can set threshold. Fine. Threshold means you know that there is a notification alert. When a table space exceeds 90% of the space, we will send an alert. Most of you are able to see the alert. The first alert you are going to see from where? You know that table space consumption exceeding by default, table space consumption exceeding 87% warning alert, exceeding 97% critical alert. Whenever there is any space with the undo. Whenever there is a snapshot error, snapshot order, we go for an alert. So you will get a number of alert. Okay, then if this DBS line login, you will go for an alert. Correct? So go for you can see the alert. In the enterprise manager, home page you can see the alert. Otherwise, we can go for a DBA underscore outstanding alert. Outstanding alert. So all the server side alert you can see from here. This service how we could.
मुझे नींद आ रहा है क्या? मुझे.
Let me explain it now. So we have a DBA outstanding alert. Okay, so from the DBA outstanding alert we can see the alert. So any alert if you have a server side alert we can see from the DBA outstanding alert. That's the general thing. That's the area alert. Also you can reach from where? You can reach from the enterprise manager. Okay. Here we have a service level threshold. These are the general threshold. Service level threshold. For example, I want to see something like this. Whenever my service, ERP service exceeding X amount of CPU, send an alert. Correct? Something like that I want to get an alert. But that alert is only for that particular service, not for an individual user. Correct? So that is what the threshold. What is threshold? Threshold is a boundary. You are going to set a boundary. Okay, whenever the metric is exceeding the boundary, what happens? You send an alert. So now you can go for what? You can configure the alert. You can set a threshold for what purpose? Service level alert. You can configure service level alert. You can configure. Okay. So on the service level alert is available. The server alert, that your server alert. Also you can use the server alert like EOP whatever. You can use the server alert. So it will go for an alert. And if you configure the SMTP POP3 configuration and load, in the enterprise side there is options. Notification method, correct? Email notification method. So if you configure email notification method, what happens? This will be reaching to your mailbox. They will configure SMTP collaboration, so they have to configure. So this will be reaching, correct? So whenever it is exceeding, you get an SMS or you get a mail, but there are the external configuration, extra configuration, but this mechanism you can configure. So that also you can specify where. Use the time of certification. When you're creating a service, that will be.
It will be configured for different attributes, right? It might be because of exceeding the CPU or because of exceeding the session count.
So many options are not available here. So when you talk about service, only CPU level activities are affected. You cannot specify if this service exceeding 50% of the table space in an alert, or if this day using this much and to send an alert, these type of things are possible. So this threshold actually mainly for CPU. You cannot do everything here. Don't think like that. If you want to do everything, that is as usual the threshold. You know that's not as usual how you set a threshold in the enterprise scenario, and you can change it. That is the alert here. Here all options are not available.
So number of connections going from this service and using whatever threshold service CPU will show
it. It will provide warning. It will send a warning or a critical message, so you will be receiving the mail.
So it has only not the right not only critical.
That is, you can, no, again you can space. There is a total options are available. Warning level, critical level. You can critical level. Again you can specify something like this. So many options are available here. You can specify something like this. Okay, within 15 minutes, consecutively 3 times exceeding 90%, then send an alert. This way you can specify. According to your requirement.
This is the same target, but different target.
Same thing only. Within 15 minutes, 3 times you are hitting more than 90%, then only 10. Then ultimately you are reducing the number of threshold. Otherwise, very frequently you will get it. Every time. So you can specify according to your requirement. Okay. So for all the purpose there are DBMS packages are available. You can use the DBMS package. You can write a program out of it. But we can specify exactly what exactly you are doing. That we have to do from the program. This is only for one purpose. Only you specify some threshold. Threshold is not a limiting. Threshold is a boundary. It's not a limitation.
It will allow connection.
Everything. Yeah, everything. For example, the ERP service is using only 60% speed. That you restricted from where? So the 60% is you. Reserved for the ERP application, consider as 100%. Then is that 100%. Whenever you are meeting 90%, speed what happens? Only alert. We have alert. It's not a so this and again, one more you can think fast application notification for ODP.NET client. That is also you can see inside. When you are talking about interface and you can see. This also you have to specify. I have not written here. Fast application notification for enabled fast application notification for ODP.NET client. Means, if I want to indicate a fan, there is something called fan. I will explain later, fan. Okay, so if I want to indicate a fan, along with the ODP.NET client, we should enable. By default, Java JDB is the client that nicely indicates the fan. Java JDB, they are already integrated. No need to do anything for Java. But if you are using ODP.NET, we will enable fan here. Once you enable fan, they can receive the fan. Okay, ODP.NET. .NET is an application platform. .NET.
Oracle connection.
This is Microsoft platform. Because the Microsoft machines usually will not receive our ONS notification panel. Being the that high availability content separate unit for you. Which one you are talking about? High availability content, preferable instance or available. Whether you want to go for a preferable instance or service based to any. You are giving the preferable instance. This is the service. Service. All the things are when you do the service based, you have to service is here. Okay. Policy manager will not come here. It's a server program. So if you want to see the policy manager here, your database should be policy manager. You can create a policy manager service only if the database is policy manager. For example, if you are looking at your enterprise manager service page, you cannot see any entry regarding policy manager, right? Because your database is already administrative manager. So policy manager service you can create only in policy manager database. So according to our example, that option will not come inside. Why? Because our database is admin manager. If it is a policy manager database, which option you can expect? All the things you can expect. Okay. Plus singleton option you can expect that. Server full name you can expect that. Correct. And again the uniform option you can expect. Those things you can expect. But for us, no, you cannot see it because we are working with the admin manager.
Which view we can see what is.
There are not the views actually, the configuration. We can see the configuration. Because all the sentences are in OCR file. So from the OCR file we can pull it. SRSH command is there. So using the SRSH command you can pull it. We can see.
In case of policy manager, we want to see the configuration.
Which configuration? That's right. All everything, each and every configuration. You have a good service configuration. Each and every service level configuration you can verify from using the SRB CTL command. Okay, you can easily see from the SRB. I will show you. The SRB config command is available. All the configuration you can see. SRB config. Whether you are using policy manager, whether you are using admin manager, if you are using admin manager, these are the configuration you made, each and every piece of information you can create. Okay, using environment. Clear this concept? Want to go for a break?
Yeah.
Not exceed more than 15 minutes. 151. 50.
Yeah.